Thanks for joining us today at the Mining News Network podcast. Let's get started.
All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into Agnico Eagle Mines.
Big player in the gold mining world.
Huge. They're the third largest gold producer globally.
Been around for quite a while, too, since 1957.
Wow, that's a long time in the market.
It is. And get this, they've consistently paid dividends since 1983.
Talk about commitment to shareholders.
Exactly. Signals they're in it for the long haul.
Definitely. But for this deep dive, we're really focusing on what are their strategic priorities? What does the future hold for them?
Right.
And we're using their recently released Q3 2024 report to try and figure that out.
Yeah, important to remember they're not just sitting on one mine.
Right.
They've got operations all over. Canada, Australia, Finland, Mexico.
That global reach is pretty key to figuring out what they're going to do going forward.
Absolutely.
So what really stood out to you from the report? I'm seeing record profits, some ambitious expansion plans, a lot of talk about ESG, all while the world feels a bit shaky.
Well, to really get into the strategy, got to start with the financials.
Okay, makes sense.
And Agnico Eagle had a record-breaking quarter. Free cash flow hit $620.4 million, or $1.24 per share.
Those are some serious numbers. But what does that actually let them do with that kind of financial strength?
It gives them a lot of flexibility to be bold. They can invest heavily in growth, new projects, upgrading existing mines,
Makes sense.
without having to worry too much about short-term market wobbles.
So they're not just sitting on a pile of gold. They're strategically putting it back into the business.
Exactly.
They're also sharing that wealth with their shareholders. That $1.40 per share quarterly dividend keeps that streak going.
Yep.
But they're also buying back a bunch of their own shares. Over 362,000 this past quarter.
Yep.
What's the thinking behind that? Two-pronged approach.
Smart move, really. They're trying to appeal to different types of investors, right?
Right.
Some people want that steady income from dividends.
Yeah.
Others are all about seeing their share value go up.
Makes sense.
By doing both, Agnico is showing they're serious about long-term value.
Okay. So financially, they seem to be in a fantastic position.
Yeah.
But a mining company is only as good as its actual mining, right?
100%. And they're not just meeting expectations, they're exceeding them in some cases. They produced 863,445 ounces of gold in Q3.
Wow.
Right on track for their yearly target. And you got to consider all the supply chain issues the world's going through right now.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be in business in general.
It is.
But in the report, they highlighted that they had record throughput and mining rates at a few of their sites.
Yeah.
So clearly they're pushing hard for efficiency.
Absolutely. And that's key. That efficiency helps them manage their costs, which is critical these days. They reported total cash costs per ounce of $921.
Okay.
And AISC per ounce of $1,286.
So they're keeping those costs down.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is huge when the economic outlook is so uncertain.
Okay, so financially strong, running efficiently, keeping shareholders happy. What about the future?
Yeah.
What are their big growth plans? And what do those tell us about their direction?
They've got a mix, expanding what they've got going, and some brand new projects. Take the Odyssey project.
Yeah.
At their Canadian Malartic mine.
Huge one.
Big underground expansion. They're actually ahead of schedule, thanks to some pretty cool tech.
Oh, really?
Things like teleoperated and automated equipment.
Oh, wow. So they're really pushing the envelope there.
They are, but, even the best plans, there are always hiccups.
Right.
Gold production from Odyssey South was a bit under their target. There was a little delay in the mining sequence.
So even with the best tech, you can't always account for everything.
You can't. But overall, Odyssey is going to be a big win for them.
I'm sure it will. And then there's the Detour Lake Underground project.
Another big one in Canada.
What's happening there?
They're moving full speed ahead on prepping the site. Finish the pad for the surface infrastructure. Remove the overburden for the portal.
The portal. For those of us who aren't miners.
It's basically the entrance to the underground mine.
Oh.
But what's really got people excited are those infill drilling results. They hit 22.5 grams per ton of gold over 12.9 meters.
Whoa. 22.5 grams per ton.
Yeah,
That's a lot of gold.
it is.
Why is a high-grade corridor like that so valuable for an underground project?
Like hitting the jackpot,
Yeah.
It means they can get a lot of gold out of a smaller area, makes the whole operation more efficient, more profitable.
Makes sense. So two huge projects chugging along in Canada, but they're not just focused on Canada.
Oh, no. They've got some interesting things going on in other parts of the world. Their Hope Bay project up in Nunavut.
Yeah?
It's currently under strategic review.
So they're open to reevaluating and maybe adjusting their approach.
They are, which is good. Not every company's willing to admit when things might not be working out as planned.
I find that refreshing.
Shows they're flexible, adaptable, and that's super important in this industry.
Right. Things change all the time.
All the time. Commodity prices, regulations, new discoveries. You got to be able to adjust to stay ahead.
Makes sense. So Hope Bay is on hold for now.
For now.
What about their San Nicolas project down in Mexico?
That one's a high-potential development project in a region that's known for its mineral deposits. It's another way they're diversifying their portfolio, not relying too much on any one region.
Smart move. So they're hitting home runs in Canada, strategically rethinking Hope Bay, and betting on a new venture in Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's not all about profits and expansion.
Right.
They've been talking a lot about ESG.
Yeah, environmental, social, and governance practices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just talk, they're backing it up with real action.
Yeah, they are. They made a donation to the Université du Québec on Abitibi-Témiscamingue.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is. Funded a space to promote reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous students.
That's fantastic. It shows they're putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to social responsibility. But what about the environment?
They organized a huge reforestation event down in Mexico. Got the local community, students, everyone involved.
I love that.
They planted over 1,500 native pine trees in an area that had been hit by wildfires.
That's great to see. A company taking concrete steps to reduce their environmental impact and getting the community involved, too.
And it's not just altruism, right?
Right.
These ESG efforts, they're becoming more and more important for attracting investors and securing permits.
Especially in mining, where there's so much scrutiny.
Absolutely.
So it's good for the planet, good for the community, good for business.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
Big picture. Agnico Eagle's 2024 outlook.
Right.
What's the takeaway?
They're on track to meet their gold production guidance and keep their costs under control.
Okay, good.
They're projecting gold production between 3.35 and 3.55 million ounces.
All right.
Midpoint there, 3.45 million.
Okay.
And their cost estimates are pretty stable, expecting total cash costs per ounce to be around $900 and AISC per ounce to be around $1,225.
Solid numbers.
Consistent performance like that with all their strategic investments, they're setting themselves up for success.
Agreed. But what about really long term? Where could Agnico Eagle be in, let's say, 5 or 10 years?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
They've got a solid foundation, a clear strategy,
Absolutely.
strong cash flow, investing in smart growth, prioritizing responsible mining. That's a great recipe for the long term.
But what direction are they going to take that? Double down on existing projects? Focus on specific regions? Maybe make some big acquisitions?
All possibilities. And don't forget about technology.
Right.
Mining industry is on the verge of a tech revolution.
Yeah.
Agnico is already embracing things like automation and data analytics. Who knows how far they'll push it in the years to come?
Imagine AI-powered exploration, fully automated mines,
Wow.
robot miners on Mars. Okay, maybe let's not get too carried away.
Maybe not yet.
But the potential is huge.
Yeah.
And they seem well-positioned to take advantage of it.
They do. This has been fascinating.
It really has. I'm excited to see how their story plays out.
It'll be interesting to watch how they balance their growth ambitions with their commitment to sustainability.
Because sometimes those two can seem odds.
Yeah, they can.
Mining, by its very nature, has an impact.
It does.
It's all about minimizing that impact, maximizing the benefits, not just economic benefits, but the social ones too.
For sure.
And it sounds like Agnico Eagle's trying to do just that. You know what I find interesting?
Mm-hmm.
They're not just laser focused on those massive projects. They're also making smaller strategic moves.
Oh, like what?
Like that Detour Lake Mill optimization project.
Right.
They're investing in upgrades that will increase capacity, A&D, improve energy efficiency.
Ah, that's a smart move.
Right.
Increasing throughput, reducing energy use. That's operational excellence right there.
It may not be as headline-grabbing as a brand-new mine,
Right.
but these incremental improvements add up.
Absolutely. They're doing something similar at their Meliadine mine up in Nunavut.
Oh, yeah?
Phase 2 expansion project.
Meliadine, that's another key operation for them, right?
It is. And this phase is all about improving the infrastructure and boosting production capacity.
Makes sense. Making the most of what they already have.
That did.
Okay, but let's zoom out even further.
Okay.
Broader trends in gold mining. What's happening out there? How is Agnico Eagle positioned?
One of the biggest things is the rising demand for gold from those emerging markets, especially Asia.
China and India, right?
Huge gold consumers. It's driven by rising incomes, cultural traditions, the desire to diversify investments. Gold's seen as a safe haven, especially when the economy's uncertain.
So that's good news for gold producers.
It is.
But there must be challenges too.
Of course. One of the biggest is the rising cost of production. Energy prices are up and down, labor's more expensive, regulations are getting tougher. It's a tough business to be in these days.
It's a classic squeeze. Costs going up, margins getting squeezed. How is Agnico Eagle addressing that?
Operational efficiency and tech, like we talked about, they're investing in automation, data analytics, all those things that help them cut costs and be more productive. Doing more with less.
Those mill upgrades at Detour Lake fit right into that.
Exactly.
Getting more from what they already have.
And they're looking at new mining techniques, too. Ones that could lower costs and reduce their environmental footprint.
Like what?
Things like in situ leaching, biomining, maybe even asteroid mining one day. Okay, maybe not yet.
Maybe not yet.
But there's so much exciting innovation happening, and Agnico Eagle is right there.
Which makes me wonder, what about exploration? Are they actively looking for new deposits, or are they focused on what they already have?
They're doing both.
Really?
They've got a robust exploration program. They're always looking for new opportunities.
So they're not just resting on their laurels. They're looking for the next big gold mine.
Exactly. All their current regions, Canada, Australia, Finland, Mexico. But they're also exploring new places, particularly in the Americas.
Wow, casting a wide net. Any exciting prospects on the horizon?
They've had some promising results from a few of their exploration projects, but it's early days. Figuring out if a potential deposit is worth mining, it takes time.
It's not just finding shiny rocks and shouting, Eureka.
Not quite. It's a long process. Lots of drilling, sampling, analysis, and even then, no guarantees.
So exploration's a risky business.
It is.
And essential for any mining company that wants a future.
Absolutely. And Agnico Eagle gets that. They're investing in exploration to make sure they've got a pipeline of projects.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Financial performance, how they operate, growth plans, ESG, their exploration program. But there's one thing we haven't really talked about yet. Leadership.
The people at the helm.
Exactly. The folks steering this ship. What can you tell us about Agnico Eagle's leadership and their vision for the company?
Well, they've got a very experienced leadership team, deep knowledge of the industry, and their vision's clear: to be a leading global gold producer that creates value for all their stakeholders.
That's a good vision.
And to do it all while maintaining the highest sustainability standards.
Sounds pretty aspirational. How are they putting that into action?
It's a mix of things: strategic planning, operational excellence, technological innovation, engaging with communities. They're also fostering a culture of safety and responsibility at every level of the organization.
So it's about more than just digging up gold.
Much more.
It's about building a sustainable business that benefits everyone: employees, communities, shareholders, the planet.
You got it. And they're looking ahead, anticipating those future trends and challenges.
That's important.
They know that the mining industry is evolving, and they want to be at the forefront.
Okay, clear vision, strong leadership, committed to sustainable growth. But at the end of the day, in the mining industry, the real measure of success is
Gold.
exactly. So the big question is, can they keep delivering the goods?
That's what everyone wants to know. But if we look at their recent performance, they're definitely on the right track.
They are.
Consistent production, solid financials, high-quality assets.
And they're not afraid to adapt as the industry changes.
They're embracing new technologies, new mining techniques, expanding into new regions.
And they're building those relationships with communities, showing their commitment to responsible mining.
All signs point to continued success.
But we can't forget, mining is unpredictable.
Very true.
There are always risks.
Always.
Commodity prices can swing wildly. There are geopolitical uncertainties, operational challenges, unexpected discoveries. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's a dynamic industry full of surprises.
That's what makes it so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Agnico Eagle, with their history, their global reach, their strategic vision, they're a company to watch.
They are. They embody both the challenges and the opportunities of the whole gold mining industry.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. I feel like I understand Agnico Eagle's priorities and their outlook a lot better now.
And we hope you do too.
But before we move on, one final question for our listeners. Given everything we've talked about today, their financial strength, their operational excellence, their growth plans, ESG, exploration, strong leadership.
Yeah.
What do you think Agnico Eagle will look like in 5 or 10 years? Will they be even bigger,
even more global.
Will they be leading the way in tech innovation in mining?
Will they be the gold standard for responsible and sustainable mining?
We want you to think about these questions, come to your own conclusions, because the future of Agnico Eagle is still being written, and that's what makes this so exciting.
It is. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, it's worth remembering that their story is really part of the story of gold itself.
Because gold has that special something, right? It's been a symbol of wealth and power for centuries.
It has.
And even with all the technology and financial innovation we have today,
Gold still holds its value.
it's a safe haven, a hedge against inflation, a store of value that goes beyond borders and currencies.
It does.
So Agnico Eagle is tapping into something timeless, something that's been important to humans for millennia.
That's a great way to put it. And it adds another layer of complexity to their strategic decisions. They're not just mining a metal. They're extracting something that's deep in our collective psyche.
Which leads me to another question. What role will gold play in the future?
Well, that's a good one.
Will it stay relevant in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and decentralized?
That's a question for the ages.
It is.
But I have a feeling gold, with its enduring appeal and its tangible value, it'll always have a place in our world, even as technology changes our lives.
And companies like Agnico Eagle will be there, navigating that changing landscape,
Yep.
balancing tradition and innovation, extracting that gold that continues to fascinate us.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has given our listeners a peek into the intricate world of gold mining. We've explored the strategic priorities, the challenges, the opportunities.
The allure of this precious metal.
We hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for this complex industry
We do.
and the companies that make it all happen.
That's right.
But that's all for part 1 of our deep dive into Agnico Eagle Mines.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Hey there, Mining News Network listeners. We hope you're enjoying the latest updates on breaking news from mining companies across North America. If you love staying informed about the latest developments in the mining world, we've got a quick favor to ask. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. We've got more exciting stories and expert insights coming your way after the break, so stay tuned and thank you for listening.
You know, it's really interesting to see how Agnico Eagle is trying to balance their growth ambitions with their commitment to responsible mining.
It is, because sometimes those two ideas can feel a bit at odds with each other.
Right. Mining, by its very nature, does have an impact on the environment. The key is, how do they minimize that impact while they're maximizing those benefits?
Both the economic, the social ones.
Yeah,
And that's where their strategic choices become really important.
exactly.
And it seems like they're really trying to find that sweet spot, that balance.
Yeah.
But you know what I found really interesting digging into the report? They're not just focused on those big headline-grabbing projects.
Right.
They're making these smaller strategic moves that I think could really pay off big time down the line.
I see you've been doing your homework. What did you find?
Well, there's a section on the Detour Lake Mill Optimization Project.
Yeah.
They're investing in some upgrades that will both increase the mill's processing capacity and make it more energy efficient.
Now, that's a smart move.
Right.
Increasing throughput, using less energy, that's operational excellence in action.
Absolutely. It may not be as exciting as, announcing a massive new 9.
Right.
But these incremental improvements, they can make a huge difference over time.
Absolutely, like compound interest for a mining operation.
Exactly. Get more out of what they already have. And they're doing something similar at their Meliadine mine up in Nunavut.
Oh, with the Phase 2 expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melidine's another one of their key operations.
It is.
And that Phase 2 expansion, it's all about improving the mine's infrastructure, increasing the production capacity, really maximizing the value of their existing assets.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But let's zoom out for a minute. Big picture stuff.
Okay.
What are some of the big trends we're seeing in the gold mining industry right now? And how is Agnico Eagle positioning themselves to navigate all of that?
Well, one of the biggest trends, and it's a positive one for them, is the increasing demand for gold from those emerging markets, particularly in Asia.
China and India, right? I always hear about how much gold they buy.
Huge gold consumers.
Yeah.
And that demand's being driven by a lot of things. Rising incomes, those cultural traditions, and people wanting to diversify their investments. You know, gold is seen as a safe haven, especially when the economy is uncertain.
Yeah, that makes sense. So good news for gold producers like Agnico Eagle.
It is.
There must be some challenges too, right?
Of course, there always are. One of the biggest ones is the rising cost of production.
Yeah.
Energy prices are all over the place. Labor costs are going up. Regulations are getting stricter all the time. It's a tough environment to operate in these days.
Classic squeeze play. Costs go up, profit margins get squeezed. How are they addressing that?
Well, a big part of it is what we were talking about earlier. Operational efficiency, technological innovation, investing in automation, using data analytics, anything that can help them cut costs and get more productive. Do more with less.
Like those mill upgrades at Detour Lake.
Exactly. Squeezing more efficiency out of their existing infrastructure.
Right.
They're also exploring some new mining techniques.
Oh, really?
Ones that have the potential to both lower their costs and indeed reduce their environmental footprint.
Wow, what kinds of techniques are we talking about?
Things like in situ leaching, biomining, who knows? Maybe someday we'll even be talking about asteroid mining. But for now...
Okay, let's maybe keep asteroid mining in the realm of science fiction for now.
We will, but
Yeah.
for now, they're focused on using these innovative techniques here on Earth.
Right, right. It is fascinating to see how technology is transforming the mining industry, though. And it seems like Agnico Eagle is really committed to being a leader in that.
They are. They really understand that the future of mining is going to be shaped by technology, and they're investing accordingly. But it's not all about the tech either. They recognize the importance of what they call human capital.
Human capital.
Yeah.
What does that mean in this context?
I'm talking about their workforce.
Right.
The people who actually make everything happen. Agnico Eagle's very committed to attracting, developing, retaining top talent in the industry.
It makes sense. You could have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have skilled, motivated people to run it.
It's not going to do much good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to create this workplace culture that really values safety, diversity, professional development. They want to be the employer of choice, a place where people are excited to come to work and contribute their best.
It really does sound like they're taking that holistic approach to sustainability. It's not just about the environment. It's about building a business that's sustainable at every level, environmental, social, economic.
Exactly. And that's why they're investing so much in their communities, building strong relationships with local stakeholders, really making sure that their operations benefit everyone involved.
It's impressive to see a company so dedicated to doing things the right way. But with all this focus on responsible mining and sustainability, can they still deliver those strong financial results?
I think they can. In fact, I'd argue that their commitment to sustainability is actually a big part of what's driving their financial success.
Interesting. How so?
Well, by operating responsibly and building trust with their stakeholders, they're creating a much more stable and predictable operating environment for themselves. And that ultimately leads to better financial performance.
So it's not one or the other. You can be both profitable and responsible.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message to send, not just to investors, but to the industry as a whole. Agnico Eagle's proving that sustainable mining isn't just the right thing to do, it's also good business.
It's a good lesson for everyone. So we've talked a lot about Agnico Eagle's current operations, their plans for the future. But I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges they're likely to face in the years to come? What are the things that could potentially throw them off course?
Well, like we've said before, mining's a really unpredictable business. There are always those external factors that are totally out of their control.
Like what? You mean things like the price of gold going down?
Exactly. The price of gold can be incredibly volatile, and if it were to take a big dip, that could significantly impact their profitability.
Makes sense.
That's why it's so critical for them to be really careful about managing their costs, making sure they have a strong balance sheet.
So got to be prepared for those ups and downs in the market.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, geopolitical risks are a big concern, too.
Right.
Agnico Eagle operates in quite a few different countries, and any kind of political instability, changes in government policies, things like that, could really disrupt their operations.
Yeah, it's a global business. They're exposed to all sorts of geopolitical risks. What about environmental challenges? Those always seem to be a big concern for mining companies.
They are, and environmental regulations are getting stricter all over the world. Agnico Eagle has to constantly be evolving their practices to meet those standards.
Right.
They also need to be really proactive about managing their environmental impact, to avoid negative press, potential lawsuits, things like that.
It's a bit of a tightrope walk, isn't it? Trying
Yeah.
to balance all those factors.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're aware of the challenges and they're taking steps to address them.
They are, and I think that's one of the things that makes them such an interesting company to follow. They're not just sitting back and hoping for the best. They're actively managing those risks, really trying to position themselves for success in a world that's constantly changing.
I agree. This deep dive has been incredibly informative. I feel like I have a much better grasp of Agnico Eagle's strategic priorities now, the challenges they face, and the opportunities that are out there.
And we hope you do too.
But before we move on to our next topic, I just wanted to leave our listeners with one final thought. You know, we've talked a lot about Agnico Eagle's strategy, but what about their culture?
Okay.
What kind of company are they? What are their values? How do those values actually shape the decisions they make, the actions they take? I think those are some really important questions to consider as we're evaluating their long-term prospects.
I think those are great points. Culture often gets overlooked, but it plays such a huge role in a company's success. And in Agnico Eagle's case, I think their commitment to responsible mining really reflects their core values. They're not just doing it because it makes good business sense. They're doing it because they believe it's the right thing to do.
And I think that's worth celebrating.
I do too.
It's really refreshing to see a company putting principles ahead of profits.
It is.
And I think that's a big part of what makes them so compelling. They're not just another mining company. They're a company with a conscience.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on. We've covered a lot, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of what makes Agnico Eagle so fascinating.
I agree.
There's so much more to explore, and we encourage you, our listener, to continue your own deep dive into their world.
I couldn't agree more. And who knows, maybe one day we'll revisit Agnico Eagle and see how their story is unfolded.
That would be interesting. But for now, let's move on to our next deep dive. There's a whole world of knowledge out there waiting for us.
It's amazing, as we're wrapping up this deep dive into Agnico Eagle, it really hits me how their story is so connected to the story of gold itself.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, gold has this, timeless allure, right?
Yeah.
It's been a symbol of wealth and power for centuries.
It has.
And even today, with all the digital currencies and fancy investments out there, gold still holds its value.
Absolutely.
It's a safe haven, a hedge against inflation, a store of value that goes beyond any borders or currencies.
It really does.
So, in a way, Agnico Eagle isn't just mining some metal. They're tapping into something much deeper, something that's been woven into human history and culture for thousands of years.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. It adds a whole other layer to their strategy, doesn't it?
I think so.
They're not just extracting a commodity. They're extracting something that's embedded in our collective consciousness.
Exactly. Which makes me wonder, what role will gold play in the future? Will it still be relevant in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and decentralized?
That's a question people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Right.
But I have a feeling that gold, with its enduring appeal, that tangible value, it will always have a place in our world, even as technology changes everything around us.
I think you're right. It's almost like gold represents this link to the past,
Yeah.
This reminder that some things are enduring, valuable, even in a world that's constantly in flux.
I like that. And I think companies like Agnico Eagle, they'll continue to play this vital role in bridging that gap between the past and the future.
It's true.
They're navigating this constantly evolving mining landscape. They're balancing tradition with innovation.
And they're bringing us that gold that continues to fascinate us.
That's right.
So this deep dive has given our listeners a glimpse into this world, this intricate world of gold mining.
We've looked at the strategic priorities, the challenges, the opportunities.
And the lure of this precious metal.
Exactly.
And we hope you've come away with a deeper understanding of this complex industry and the companies that are a part of it.
A world where science and technology and economics and human ingenuity all come together.
And as we wrap up today's episode, we just want to encourage you all to keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep into the things that pique your curiosity.
Absolutely.
Because the world is full of fascinating stories just waiting to be discovered.
It is.
And who knows? Maybe one day you'll find yourself on your own deep dive into the world of gold mining.
That would be great.
And if you do, we'll be here to guide you along the way. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep with the deep dive.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Mining News Network. If you found this content helpful, please don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe. If there are topics or companies that you would be interested in or like us to cover next, please leave a comment down below.